Hello everyone. Okay, so as you know, you're looking at Hundertwasser at the moment. So what we want to do now is start to think about how we're going to generate some shapes which we can then decorate and paint and colour in the style of Hundertwasser, which will then become the shapes that we will use to make our little Hundertwasser style town, which your class teacher should already have spoken to you about. So I've put some of his work out in front of me, and I can see, looking at it, that there are some shapes that sort of pop out at me. So his little lollipop trees, which you can see here. We've got some of these slightly irregular shaped houses that you can see here. And we've got a dome shape that you can see coming in here. What's nice about these shapes is that they're not super accurate. You can see this dome is a little bit wonky. You know already that we've been looking at the pavilion, and this has got that kind of pavilion style to it, but it's not super accurate, and we don't want them to be. Now, how we're going to do this is we're going to break the shapes down into individual parts. So we're not, for example, going to do a whole lollipop tree. We're going to do a circle and we're going to do a stem. Then we're going to look at all the different shapes that we've got, and then we're going to start thinking about how we could put those together to become a little sculpture. And we'll get to that in a few lessons' time. But for now, we're just going to focus on these shapes and the patterns that we're going to put inside them. So let's start with something quite basic and go with a circle. So I'm going to ask you then to just draw a circle on your page, but I don't want it to be perfect. And you should be able to see there that mine kind of veers off towards the top before it comes back down again. Now, as I'm looking around the table at all of his different work, I can see that on this one he's just used different lines of colour. But in this image here, which has got a sort of ovally shape to it, you can see these little squares and patterns coming in. And I'm starting to make some decisions about what I want mine to look like. So I'm going to start off with a square type shape in the middle, and I'm taking that from here. And then I might make the next one a little bit more circular. And then the next one, I'm going to go circular again, but I'm going to have it coming out further on one side than it does on the other, because I can see that happening in some of his pieces of work. And then I might do another circle type shape, but I might make it come out bigger at the bottom. And I'm just going to carry on doing this, just picking out different sort of designs that he uses until I've filled my circular shape. Now, I'm quite happy with that, but I'm not going to leave it like that, because I think there's too many nice things happening in his work for it to stay this plain. So I'm going to look now to start putting in some of these nice squares. Maybe not quite as many as he's got, but I definitely want some of them in there. And I don't want them to be perfect squares, so I'm going to give them nice wobbly edges. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. There's not too much detail in there. You know, we're going to do a couple of these shapes, so we don't want to spend too long on them. I've picked out various things from each of his images, and that's really important. You must keep referring back to what he's done, because all the information that you need is there. And then what we're going to look to do is to start adding in some colour.